Okay, folks, we're doing exercise 5.9 and I'm only gonna give out one solution. Okay, this is the textbook we're using, and right now we gotta jump on to 216 where our exercise is located. Okay, you can read through the problem yourself. I'm not gonna do so. It's exercise 5.9. I'm trying to minimize time here, folks. Okay, so basically we've got to write a program that prompts the user to enter students with their corresponding scores, and then we gotta display the first high performing student and the second high performing student. So basically it's number 1 and number 2. So what I did is I've already created a class called exercise 5.9, and I've done two things, and that is to declare and initialize my scanner and my variable called number of students. Okay, right now what I want to do, I want a variable to hold my number 1 student name, and I'll initialize it to null, and I'll go double number 1 student score. I'll initialize it to -1. Okay, what I'll then do, I'll go double string number 1 number 2 student number 2 student name. I should have put 1 over there, so it's number 1 student name. So here we've got number 2 student name, and then I'll have number 2 student score. Okay, so basically these are the main 4 variables that we really want. Or perhaps in the end, let me just display this system.out.print. Here's what I want to do. I want to go number 1 student name will be that, will simply be number 1 student name. What I want to do is to concatenate that with \t, because I want to leave a tab space in between. I want to go now number 1 student score. Oops. Okay, I want to go number 1 student score. I want to go number 1 student score. Okay, what I then want to do is to do one and the same thing for number 2. However, I want to go to the next line first and then go number 2. Let me get rid of student number 2. So what I want to do now is to go number 2 name. That will simply be number 2 student name \t number 2 score. Okay, it's gonna be number 2 student school. Okay, there should be it, folks. Okay, now let's get back. Okay, because this whole thing, it is actually what we want to display in the end. Right now what we want to do is to enter our for loop, but before we do so, I want to do a little bit of validation here. Okay, and I want to have my else right there. Okay, I only want to do this if number of students is at least 2 students, if it is greater than or equals to 2. If that is not the case, immediately I know that we've got a problem. System.out.print then error, make sure there are at least 2 students. And then I wanna exit my program. System.out.exit. Put a 0 there. Okay, if that is the case though, if we do have at least 2 students, here's what we want to do. Simply go student number 1 up to student number is less than or equals to number of students. Student number plus. I don't know if people are with me here, but I don't see anything confusing here, right? Okay, so here's what I'll do. Just like before on exercise 5.8, what I'll do is to prompt my user system.out.print. What I'll simply do is to prompt my user to enter a name and the corresponding score. Enter a student's name and score. Okay, what I will then do, I forgot 2 things here. I forgot creating 2 variables, and that will be the variable for my current student name and double current student school. Perhaps I've gotta take all of that and put it right there. Okay. Oops. If I'm gonna do that, it means I'm gonna have to take that and put it right there. Oops. I hope people are clear what's going on here. But another thing, if I decide to do that, then there's no need for that, because it's not like there will be anything to execute under that else statement. But you know what, let me undo, let me leave it there. Okay, so I hope people are clear what's going on up to this point. So what I did is to only create these 4 variables only if we do know that we've got 4 students, at least 4 students, right? Okay, I hope people are clear there. Another thing we could have done, we could have simply said null, okay, instead of an empty string. Okay, so here's what we will do. We will simply go current student name is equals to reader, that's the name of my scanner, dot next, and then current student school, again reader dot next double. Now that I've got those two, what I'll simply do is to make sure again that what I've read from my user is acceptable. If current score is less than 0, or current, oh shit, should have said current student name, if dot length is equals to 0, which is an equivalent of saying that your string is empty, current student name score, if that is the case, then we know that we've got to exit our program. System out.print invalid user input, error, let me just say invalid user input, done. Okay, and then I exit my program, system.out.exits. Let me put a 0 there and then a 1 at the bottom. Okay. Now that we're done with validation, we've gotta compare our current student score. If it is greater than current, if it is greater than number 1 student score, or is it number 1 score? Oops, what did I name number 2 student? Number 1 student score. Yeah, it's supposed to be number 1 student score. Number 1, not number of, number 1 student score. If that is the case, here's what I'll do. Remember folks, we're keeping track of 2 variables here. Of 2 students, the highest student and the second highest student. So the very first thing to do will be to update our number 2 score. Okay, we'll make that our number 1 score, right? Is it student score or score? Oops. Number 2 supposed to be student score. Those are pretty long variable names, I know, but I always tell you guys to make sure that you write something more descriptive. Okay, so I'm updating my number 1 student score, my number 2 student score, and number 2 student name. That's supposed to be number, should point to number 1 student name. Okay, and then number 1 student score is equals to number is equals to current student. I feel like It has been a long number one student name. I feel like already it has been a long video. Okay, student name, current student name, am I right? Yeah, folks, that should be it. That should be it. Once we're done doing that, it's pretty much the end of our exercise here. Okay, let's see what we get. Let me try to hit the run button. Let's try to enter 4 names, 4 students. Liang 67, Nash, Jim, it's something like so. Number 1 is Brian, as you guys can see. Number 1 name is Brian. Number 1 score is 88, and the number 2 name is Luandile. Is that right? Yeah, it's Luandile. And number 2 score is that. Of course, it seems like I forgot leaving a space, but you can do that. But the whole point of this tutorial is to see the logic, which is what you just saw. I don't care much for my output formats. Okay, what I was saying before, you see, there's absolutely no need for that. Our program will still work fine without it. Okay, that should be it for this tutorial, you guys. See you on the next one. Cheers, I'm gone.